What's up, everybody? Welcome back to our channel. I'm Crystal, one half of For the Love of the Mouse, and today we are talking about one of our absolute favorite things, Food and Wine Festival. So stay tuned. First things first, be sure to hit that subscribe button if you're not already subscribed to our channel. Hit that like button if you like what we're doing, and also that bell notification so that you get notified every time we release a video on Mondays and Fridays. So if you are interested in the full menus for Food and Wine Festival, because they are already released, because the festival starts in August, it is the longest running festival in Epcot and also the most popular. And if you are interested in checking out those full menus, be sure to head over to our blog, because we've got all you need over there to plan your next Disney vacation and get ready for Food and Wine Festival this year. So that link is in the description below, so be sure to check it out after this video. So today we are going to talk about my favorite foods for this year's festival just by looking at the descriptions. So what we typically do is when the menus come out, we go through and check out what is coming back from last year that we loved, what is new this year, and there's a lot of new stuff and some really big returning favorites. Although I will say, before we get into the favorites that I'm excited about giving a try to this year, let's just talk about one thing. They didn't bring back the chicken and spinach dip from last year from the Almond Orchard. It was one of the most popular things at the festival, and it's gone. We can't find it anywhere. So we are going to have to replace that in our favorites this year, but that's okay because there looks like there's going to be some amazing food this year. We better just jump right in. No Food and Wine Festival would be complete without mac and cheese. Now, 2 years ago, we had the mac and cheese handwich, which was unbelievable. And it didn't come back last year, and we were so sad. But we do have a mac and cheese this year over at Active Eats. It is the loaded mac and cheese, and it is served with a peppered bacon, cheddar cheese, and leeks. I love leeks. I think they add like an amazing freshness and a little bit of bite to any sort of like really rich and creamy dish. So I think that that's amazing. It's very similar to the mac and cheese that they had at last year's festival, so I'm sure that we're going to love it just as much as we loved last year's. But Disney, let's put it in a handwich. Come on now. Anything is better when it's wrapped in a bread cone that you can eat. So I think that that would be the only reason that I would even love this more than I'm sure I already will this year. But that is over at Active Eats, and that is going to be the first thing that we want to talk about today. Next up is a brand new booth, or kitchen as they're called for Food and Wine Festival, and that is over at the Alps. Now, of course, when you think of Alps, you think of like comfort food, snowy food. I think of cheese because the Swiss are known for their cheese and their chocolate. But what we are excited about at the Alps this year is the blueberry and almond Frangipane tart. I love Frangipane. It is kind of a love-hate thing. You either really love it or you really hate it. But I think it's delicious, and I'm so excited to give this dish a try. Frangipane is a sweet almond cream. It's kind of like an almond paste, and it's absolutely delicious if you love really sweet almondy things. It's got a really unique flavor. It's got a pretty unique texture as well. So some people who are big texture people don't love it because it is pretty creamy, but it does have a little bit of grittiness in there from the almonds. So it's absolutely delicious in my opinion. If you think that you might love Frangipane or you might love a really sweet almondy dessert, I definitely recommend heading over to the Alps to try out this one this year. It is going to be served with a creme fraiche cream and blue diamond almonds, and that is again over at the Alps Kitchen, and we're super excited to give it a try. Now there's actually another Frangipane treat that also made our list because, like I said, I love Frangipane. Over at Summerfest, there is the Frangipane peach tart. If you mix peaches with almonds, you're always going to get a winner, in my opinion. I love peach anything. I'm a huge fruit person, but if you mix peaches and almonds, I think it's just an amazing texture. I always put almonds, unless my mom's coming over because she's allergic, but I always put almonds in like my peach crisp and my peach cobblers because I absolutely love the combination of those two flavors. So over at Summerfest, we have the Frangipane peach tart, which is the second Frangipane dessert at this year's festival, and we'll definitely be giving that one a try as well. Now, one of the returning favorites from last year is the moqueca over at the Brazil Kitchen. Now, this is definitely one of our favorite menu items from the 2018 festival. It was absolutely amazing. Now, moqueca is a traditional Brazilian fish stew, and the flavors are absolutely amazing. It's got a little bit of spice to it, and so if you're kind of sensitive to spice, be wary when you're going into this because it does have some spice to it and a big kick, but it's absolutely delicious. This Brazilian moqueca seems to be just like last year's, and we're so glad that they brought it back because this is featuring scallops, shrimp, and whitefish, and then it's served with a coconut lime sauce and steamed rice. This was a really nice portion last year as well, so you really got a big bang for your buck, and it was so good. There were so many different bursts of flavors between the coconut and the spice and the seafood. It was just amazing. And then you get a little bit of zest from that lime, which really brings those seafood flavors together. It was just delicious. So that's something that you think that you would definitely enjoy or would maybe just like to try. Definitely get that between your group and give it a shot because it was amazing last year and we expect it to be amazing again this year. Over at the Cheese Studio, which is hosted by Boris and Cheese this year, we are really excited to try the braised beef stroganoff, which is served with tiny egg noodles, a wild mushroom, and Boris and garlic and herb cheese sauce, and just sounds amazing. Now, I will say that a lot of times when the festival starts, it is the middle of August, and it is really hot. And to go in for a really hot seafood stew or a really hot beef stroganoff may not be at the top of your list, so you might want to wait until later in the day to give these a try. But I definitely think that they're worth it, and I think that you will not be disappointed if you give these a shot. I am so excited to give this a try. Beef stroganoff is one of my favorite comfort food dishes. My mom used to make it all the time in the winter growing up. I absolutely love it, and I can't wait to see what the Boursin cheese does to it because typically in my beef stroganoff, I put sour cream in at the finish, and that kind of gives it a nice tang, a little bit of a smoothness. It kind of brings the whole dish together, and I'm assuming that that's kind of what they're doing with that Boursin cheese, which is the Boursin garlic and herb cheese, which is a really soft cheese, and so I really think it's going to act very similarly to what a sour cream would do, but I do think that it will give it an extra kick and an extra just really great tang to go with this dish, so I'm so excited to give this one a try. Over at Coastal Eats, there are two things that we are really excited about to try for this year's festival, and actually both of them are brought back from last year. Over at this festival location, there is the Jumbo Lump Crab Cake. Now, I'm super picky about my crab cakes because I always think that typically they have a little too much filling to crab ratio, and you just end up eating kind of a breadcrumb cake with a little bit of crab in there and a little bit of spice in there, and that's what you get. But this really did have a lot of crab in it, and so I'm hoping that it is the same this year. We know that over in the American Pavilion, where every year that they have the lobster roll, each year it tends to get smaller and smaller and smaller, so I'm hoping that that's not the case this year with the crab cake and that they're bringing back the same recipe from last year with that same crab to filling ratio, and that we get a lot of that great crab taste, and it makes an amazing, really sweet, really brought together crab cake that is just over the top. The other thing that we're excited to try at this booth is the baked shrimp and scallop scampi dip. Now, this is again a returner from last year. It was really good last year. Do be aware though, it's much more dipped than seafood, so usually you get like 2, maybe 3 pieces of seafood in there, but it's mostly that really buttery, really rich, really creamy, really cheesy sauce. But you get a sourdough baguette to go with that, and be also aware of this, they don't give you a ton of baguette, at least they didn't last year, so you really have to pile that dip on that bread, which in my opinion is okay because I love to pile a lot of dip on my bread or my dipping vessel. We are expecting that to be pretty similar this year again, and are really excited to have it once more. Another returning favorite from last year's festival is over at Flavors from Fire. One of the most popular dishes from the 2018 Food and Wine Festival was at this kitchen, and it is back again, and that is the blended burger. Now, the blended burger is actually a mix of beef and mushrooms that they blend together in a burger, and it makes an incredible, it kind of makes it a little more earthy. In my opinion, it actually gave it a little bit more of a game taste because I think game tastes a little bit more earthy than just a traditional buffalo or just a traditional beef patty. So I thought it was really great. I love burgers that are made of like bison and elk and big game, and so I was really pleased with this. And they pile it high with a ton of toppings. You have a brie cheese fondue, which is really great because it gives it a nice creamy texture to it, a nice creamy flavor over the top of that kind of earthy burger patty. And then it also has arugula, which gives it a nice bite because arugula has a little bit of a peppery taste to it. And then it is also topped with a truffle and blue cheese potato chip, which sends it over the top. Now, I will say that sometimes if those sit in the window for a while, which was really not the case last year because they were so popular, that the potato chip kind of gets a little bit soggy. But we didn't have that issue, but we did hear of some other folks who did. So be aware of that. And if you're walking up and there might not be a line and you see some sitting there, maybe come back a little bit later when they're a little bit fresher and you get that nice crisp from the potato chip. All of this comes together on a wonderful brioche bun, which gives it a little bit of sweetness. So you have the tang from the arugula, the earthiness from the burger, the sweet smoothness from the brie. You have that amazing crunch from the potato chip, all on a brioche bun. And so that was why it was one of our favorites last year, and we expect it to be one of our favorites again this year. Over in Ireland, we have another returning favorite, which is the warm Irish cheddar cheese and stout dip. Now, this is for people who love a really, really strong, really robust cheese. And this does have that flavors of stout in there. So, of course, it's going to give it a little bit of a bitterness at the end because the stout really brings out that incredibly strong cheese flavor. So if you don't love a really strong, robust, almost over the top cheese, you're not going to like this. If you're more of like a mild cheese person, steer clear of this one. But if you love cheese and you love a really strong, a really flavorful, a really robust cheese, definitely get this one because it was one of our favorites last year. We had it multiple times, and I expect we're going to do the exact same thing this year. We have two more things to cover, and one of them is over in Canada because you can't go to the Food and Wine Festival without stopping at the Canada booth. Both of their dishes are actually regulars from the menu, which is inside at Le Cellier, which is the signature restaurant in Canada. So we're going to talk today about the Le Cellier wild mushroom beef filet mignon with truffle butter sauce. Try saying that 10 times fast. It is absolutely amazing. I love truffles. I love the flavor that it brings to dishes. And this is, again, a smaller portion of what you can get inside at the restaurant. And it's absolutely over the top. It's so delicious. It's an amazing cut of beef because it's a filet. And they actually do cook it pretty well. Do be aware, though, that they do cook it a little bit more. I prefer my beef to be a medium rare. They don't serve it medium rare. It's also probably really difficult to serve a medium rare piece of beef at a festival where you have to cook a lot and it's really going to be sitting in that sun. And so it's really probably a really difficult thing to do a nice medium rare on that. So it is going to be a little bit more cooked, but just expect that because of the festival, and a lot of people have that preference of not having the redness in their meat. Also, while you're there, you might as well pick up that cheddar cheese dip because it's just amazing. And it's what they're known for. Last but not least, we're heading over to Japan where we are going to have the teriyaki chicken bun. It's a bao bun, but it's really soft. And so try to get there a little bit earlier in the day so that they're not sitting in the warmer, which will make them a little bit soggy. But the flavors of this is absolutely amazing. It comes with a sweet teriyaki sauce, which I am a sucker for a sweet teriyaki sauce. And it's a teriyaki chicken and it has some vegetables in there as well. And then it's served with that sweet teriyaki sauce and then wrapped in a really soft, really delicious bun. So those are our favorites that we are so looking forward to trying at this year's festival. There are so many more things that we're excited to try, and we can't wait to bring those to you when we head to Food and Wine Festival in September, when we are also going for a little opening of something called Star Wars Galaxy's Edge. I don't know if you guys have heard of it, but apparently it's going to be a big deal. So that should be a really fun-filled trip. We would love to hear from you. What are you really looking forward to from this year's Food and Wine Festival? Have you checked out the menus yet? If you haven't, be sure to head over to our blog and check everything out there. Also on our blog, we keep you up to date with all things Disney and beyond with the latest breaking news from Disney. Thank you so much for stopping by, you guys. We're so excited you were here today. Be sure to, again, hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, and hit that bell notification so that you are notified every time we release a video. Thank you for stopping by, and for the love of the mouse, never forget that it all started with a mouse.